Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle-earth here with a really quick video. We're just going to skip the intro and hop right in. Sort of a correction on Sauron, or at least a clarification on the build for him. So if you saw our last video on how to build Sauron, we really focused on the Deceiver and Gorthar, pairing his support, Deceiver being modified by focus with some focus damage going out, which makes sense. And I have seen a lot of people running that and having, I guess, success, but without a comparison of other builds to go off of. So I just want to clarify that I think this build here that we're talking about that's on the spreadsheet, I think it has a lot of potential, especially if you compare focus and initiative with really high respect Saurons. I feel like if you are in the Zenith level and you end up getting a couple of damage skills, you probably break out of that category where it's less effective. So if you're really high respect, I think everything still stands. However, the difference in calculations that we're seeing, for example, and I'll try to put some screenshots on the screen because I had some people share this in Discord. But if you put like the best in slot focus gear on Sauron across the board and boost his focus really, really high, his Deceiver, at least in the one that was shared that I saw a couple though, but at least one of them, I think his Deceiver got to 18%. So it added 8% extra damage received by the enemy, which is fine. But for like the best in slot focus gear, it's not a crazy amount of damage increase for the enemy. So something that actually was brought up that I think makes a lot of sense is actually looking at command gear a little bit over pumping high focus gear. Again, if you can get some overlap, great, but I just want to share the concept of command gear versus like actual attack gear for Sauron. So right now his base value is 180, as some of the highest command in the game, which means his army deals extra and receives less damage at 15.3% with 0 gear on. So if I go through and I put some command gear on him, and again, it's if you can find stuff that pairs some focus. Here we have command. This is unrefined, so it's like not even strengthened. We have a little bit of focus here. Let's see, there's no command on armor, but we can get command on helmets. Let's say we do a high elf helmet. It has command. It's got some initiative too. We talked about initiative, which still stands as well. And then something like the Maris Reigns could be a good example where, again, we're getting more initiative and we're getting more command. You could kind of play with this, but just doing that unrefined on all these pieces takes his command from the 15% it was at to 28%, a 13% increase on damage your army deals and a 13% reduction on damage your army received. Again, that's unrefined, unstrengthened, and you can definitely find pieces that will also give focus, like the Noldor sword, for example, which still means your Deceiver is getting modified, but it doesn't seem like the focus modification is that crazy, at least at this point from what we're seeing. 8% for like best in slot fully strengthened just isn't that impressive to me. So again, you still want initiative to try and trigger madness. That's great. But I do think command over the commander attack is kind of the play for Sauron, with his base command being so high. Again, this assumes kind of like more normal Saurons. If you have a crazy Zenith Sauron that's running Gorthar, running Lord of Gifts, you have, I think that changes it a little bit, because then you are really trying to boost the focus for a lot of focus damage. Whereas with Sauron, it's really just you end up getting Gorthar and Deceiver. So that's a note on command versus I guess commander attack, and just kind of the focus point. The last thing I want to notice, and I think I will update the spreadsheet, so we'll have I'll probably just change the title of the Sauron sheet to high respect focused dealing Sauron, and we'll do another one that's just called like, it'll just be Sauron. The other thing that people brought up in the comments, and seriously, shout out to everyone who's, I had a few people who aren't helpful and just like troll in the comments and are like, this isn't right. And it's like, you guys heard me in the last video. I'm like, hey, if you got ideas, share them. And some people really did share this, which is really awesome. So we can keep making, more effective guides for everyone. Someone had talked about the enemy being very effective, especially with the commander damage meta being so relevant. So at max level, this is going to be 15% reduction on attack, defense, and focus, 15%. And it affects every single enemy formation. So I think there's a legitimate support build for Sauron where he doesn't do any focus damage, but he just reduces the stats in the enemy commander and has Deceiver. And then his command is very, very high with his gear. So that means that his army is not receiving a lot of damage and they're putting out a bit more damage. So you can even look at running melee troops on Sauron with super high command and range troops on everyone else so that they're not targeted as much. Something like that. But again, just wanted to put out that clarification before too much time went by. Again, if you want to run Sauron, I'll keep investing him, and I think there is something with the focus. But I think for like my level, like R3 to R5, and not like ridiculous crazy gear, I think there's something to be said about trying to find a balance between command, still trying to look for the focus if you can. It's not a bad stat to have, but then also like stacking initiative with it. So a high elf Selm again has initiative, has command. I don't know, it just kind of makes sense to me like that. So just wanted to throw that out there. Let me know what you guys think about this, and if you have any more tips or tricks or things. Again, trying to just keep updating these as much as possible. So spreadsheet will be updated soon, and just putting this out to kind of clarify some points on Sauron. But that'll do it for this one, and I'll see you all in the next video.